greetings. Okay, we'll just cut that short and have time to set the background up or intro. So the video and image for the video. I'll just have to do. All right, so tonight's greetings. This is Sunday night on the Matrix planet. That's going to be it's going to be 2/22/22, I guess. I guess that's what is that Tuesday? Yeah, portal. So okay, but that's not what this is about. Reptilian Queen of England. I don't know if I'll do able to tap into anything newer that's been said. Oh, but you never know. And also Matrix People program, how people are programmed. You realize this are just topics that might come and go. We'll see. It's not going to be a deep connection there. And the Archon grid and how that's programmed, also how our reality is put together. So, first off, just real quick. So I'm entitled economy, prep sessions. We have a scheduler. We have the shop here. It's at I forget, the 4th or 5th, something like that. Same situation. Webinar. Social networking behind the scenes. Hope everyone's doing well on this Sunday night, on the eve of 2022. Well, of course, that's Tuesday, but you never know. Okay, so the Reptilian Queen of England hijacks energies of people. Of course, she's just a sweet old lady, of course. Yeah, she also has. Is anybody all that surprised? I do see that the Nazi connection she has. It's hidden, obviously, but it's there. I feel like some of the people that she works with are still part of the German control grid. I mean, if you're a Nazi regime, controlling the queen is obviously, no surprise there. So the influencer, let's put it that way. It's all part of the same club. Of course, English intelligence, was founding of the CIA, so it's all just. I mean, they're all friends in the long run. I mean, not everybody is a friend. China's kind of doing their own thing, but either way. So the queen, gets possessed a lot, probably every day. Maybe not entirely. I think she has channeled some demonic beings. Of course, you'll never know that one. Obviously, she's very prude, perfect, and vampire-ish. She kind of looks like a vampire when you think about it, especially when she smiles, like a nice little vampire old lady. So it does seem like they're keeping her alive, of course. I mean, you can say she died or she's alive or whatever. That's fine. But we're just tapping into the what's there. Obviously, she's been cloned. She's probably been cloned more than anybody on this planet. So go by what you feel on that one. Yeah, I consider her being cloned by. She's somebody's science project. Yeah, when they lose her, it's not going to be the same. And she has the virus right now, so I'm not going to go into where that's going. Also, it looks like the Ukraine's going to kick into gear. It feels like Monday they'll do something. It's hard to say. I just want to interject that a little bit. So the queen, I gets possessed all the time. By the demonic realms. Of course, some Illuminati people do some, some secret society people do control her, mind control her when they meet her. They just have this this connection to her where they can pick up the phone and talk to her and tell her what to do. There's a lot of that going on. Jeez. So who's running England anyway? It's not her. I mean, yeah, literally, some have enough power they can tell her what to do, and I don't think they go around bragging about it. Maybe they do. It's not that clear on that one. But when she leaves, it's going to start cracking. It'll never be the same again. It's just gonna. It just. It's hard to imagine where it's going to go, but I mean, it'll survive, of course, but just won't have the same devotion from the people because the people are possessed by her. The people there just love her. No matter what, no matter she can do genocide, they'll probably love her anyway. Kind of technically, that has happened in Africa in some places, but whatever. At least the crown has done it. Of course, this thing with Canada is connected to the crown also. Yeah, Trudeau, that's in Canada. Fuck yeah, yeah, there's a lot of secret societies controlling him. I think he came from a secret society, most likely. Yeah, he's not himself either. He's like some other kind of clone, Ken doll is running that show. So anyway, with the queen's energy, she also has to be careful what she eats. Um, that's a big thing. Just not just for poisoning, but just food in general to keep her alive, basically. She has to stay out of the sun for the most part. I think she mostly stays out of the sun. Her mental health is pretty much deteriorating. You'll never know that. I don't think she can remember things like she used to. Obviously, she's like 90 something, right? So Prince Charles is really worried about her because he knows that you know, I feel like he can get pushed around more than she can. She's still pretty tough. Not that there aren't people controlling her, but she's still pretty tough overall. But Charles is just a wimp. I mean, you've been pampered your whole life. Obviously, she has too, but he's worse. Yeah, it's her little monster, basically. So, yeah, it's it's funny though when she leaves the planet, like physically, finally, this version, clone number 1 million, whatever clone this is, whatever version we're talking about. Yeah, when she leaves the world, Charles might not be too much far away from that because he's holding on to her. It's almost, it's almost as if mom is still, taking care of the kid. I don't want to use words that it's like he's like 2 years old or something like that. He's still an infant to her. That's no surprise. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it decent there. Let your imagination go where it needs to go. God, he's like holding on to her for dear life. He cannot live in his own world at all. That's funny. The only reason he moved away from Diana is because Diana couldn't stand his ass. I mean, there's more to it than that, but I don't think she likes them after a while. Gee, I wonder why. And that whole thing with Camilla and Charles is, I mean, I guess that's love. It still feels pretty fake, but whatever. Whatever. She likes the lifestyle, so that's all that matters. Yeah, she loves the lifestyle. Yuck. It's almost like a hillbilly family when it gets down to it. That's what it looks like. Nothing against that. But yeah, I see her like being radically cloned too by other alien races. Like they'll clone her just for the whole of it, like insectoid beings. So, I mean, she's been pretty much rational, I guess. It's when she does things that's irrational. That's where it gets kind of weird. When it's not, it doesn't seem like it's her because it probably isn't. At least it's not going by the program that's usually plugged into her. Yeah. What a just such a pretentious energy there. It's just I don't know, like when she leaves the world, She has to be queen of something. She's so obsessed with it. It's like you don't just walk away from something like that. She might be queen of like McDonald's or something. I do see her like as a queen of like a small island somewhere. It might be she might reincarnate again. It's a possibility. I can see her as prime minister of like something like Australia in a future lifetime. I can really see that, and it turn Australia into another prison basically because they're doing now. Yeah, just for her own kicks. So I think she's also influencing a lot of that that's happening in Australia also, but she does it quietly. Yeah, she doesn't care basically. It feels like the Vatican, interesting, has kind of rejected her power, rejected her as a sovereign being. I don't know. The Vatican, I mean, I guess they acknowledge her, but they don't really care much for her. Of course, in the Vatican's what is that? It's like, you know, the Antichrist of the planet doesn't like the Queen of England. The reincarnate Antichrist, so whatever. More power to on that one. Yeah, just like the Vatican and her don't get along too well. I guess you don't really hear about them talking about each other like ever. Yeah, it's like they kind of. I mean, I guess it has to do with Henry VIII, kind of, because he changed his religion. Because you think the Vatican, just because they're powerful, will still have some kind of connection with her. And there might be one, but it doesn't seem like there's much of anything there. At least on the surface overall. On the astral side, yeah, they're just possessing her like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, so all right, I don't want to continue with it. I'll move on to other subject matters, a little bit more heartwarming. It just gets better and better. So yeah, the Matrix people, your normal people, how they get well, it's they gotta call them something. Or 3D, third dimensional people. A lot of them have been hijacked from other realities and download here, for various different reasons. Like, think of it like as an alien. Some of them, not all of them, are from alien worlds. Some of them just incarnated here. Some of them been bugs in their other lifetimes. It's all. It's hard to really pinpoint where everyone's been. I mean, yeah, they've been aliens, I guess, but I don't think everyone here has been an alien being. I mean, obviously everyone's a star seed, but there's different ways of looking at. I don't know. It's not that important. Yeah, some have been larvae. They've been DNA. I guess you can call that alien. You imagine if you're DNA and you incarnate as a human, you might have a bit. Might be a scientist that just all you care about is DNA, for example. Or you just want to have a lot of families. You want to have kids all the time because you want to keep reproducing and see what happens. You can go on and on with that one. Anyway, for the Matrix people, had their yeah, a lot of them were aliens on other realities, but they lost confidence in themselves, and so they got plugged in. They got hijacked, you can say, in some form, got injected into our reality, and they've been forever being programmed. I say forever because it feels like there's a program where they've been, and some of them been artificially made, which is kind of messed up. Like clones, they've been clones of other realities. They still have a soul, but some of them have been designed to program our reality. No surprise there, right? A lot of your newscasters are like that. They're just here to program the Matrix realm. Obviously, there's so many different ways of looking at how the Matrix realm works or how the people work. Uh, it's but there are some that are programmed here just they're designed to be. I mean, they have an agenda. Now, obviously, there's humans here that they just like this physical reality. There's nothing wrong with that. Some of them are they used to be aliens and they didn't like it, either whatever it was, and they incarnate here in the physical, and they kind of aced this place. They figured out how it works, and they don't want aliens in their lives. I would classify as a Matrix person too, But I don't want to label anybody. But anyway, yeah, a lot of them, or maybe the majority of people here, I won't say the majority, but there's a lot that they've lived it and it just didn't do anything for them. And they incarnated here and they find, yeah, this world has a lot of difficulties, but it's better than being on an alien ship and getting zapped at all the time. So I'd rather watch like a sci-fi movie or watch Star Wars or something. It's like, wow, that was nice, and now I can turn off the TV and go back to farming or whatever it is, or working at my desk job. It's like, yeah, this is better than that. You'd be surprised how many actually think that way. Yeah, it's just, I mean, obviously there's alien worlds where things are peaceful, but, you know, eventually you're going to run into a lifetime where things aren't peaceful and can get kind of out of hand. So many people feel like we're going to evolve into this new reality. But yeah, you might, but there's still going to be many that are just this. I mean, that's these star seeds that are here to awaken to the higher dimensions. You remember aliens, you remember Zetas, you remember the Palladians, whatever, and that's fine. There's also a maturity level within your own self, which I believe many do have, of recognizing that people here just like it the way it is. Not that it can't get better on a vibrational level. I think they'll be okay with that. Less chaos. I think they're okay with that. Uh, who, whatever. I'm not going into. Some of them aren't psychopaths. It's just but they still like the culture of the earth. They like what this world offers. Overall, they might not like everything. I don't think they like a corrupt Hillary Clinton. I mean, who does? Well, some do. Anyway, but some just enjoy the physical reality. They like the sky, they like the trees, and they don't. I mean, to them, that is spiritual growth. They can turn on the TV and turn it off and hang out with their friends. And some of them are the nicest people in the world. And they don't really need angels and guides and all of that. They obviously have it, but they might connect to the angel energy to a certain extent, but not enough where they can move, out of the physical. They still need the physical. And then you have people, spiritual people that are here that are pretty obvious, that just despise the physical realm altogether, just hate it. Yeah, raise your hand if you're one of those people. um, and you're here for various different reasons. One of them is for some, is to make peace with the human. I mean, you don't have to go out and hug a human, but it's almost like the Native Americans and the Pilgrims. You know, it's like, hey, we're just here to shoot Indians and all that. The idea is to make a peace, galactically here, and not to think that you're better than the people that are here, which many do that are spiritually developed and ready to go back to the aliens and go to connect to Ashtar, or connect with whatever. And I believe some spiritual people here really despise the physical reality. And like I said, for us to evolve, you have to heal that energy. Think about that. It's like, oh, I'm a star seed. I can connect to my psychic abilities. I can connect to aliens. And it's like, okay, so what do you think about the human race? Well, they don't know anything. They don't know any better. Yeah, but how? What does he mean by that? So that's an area I feel like it's touchy subject for some that are developing spiritually. Like they're very advanced spiritually, and that's all connected to the Gnostic texts of like a lot of them just like, man, being physical is so wrong, and that's a touchy subject to go into. But you know, eventually somehow will be more connected to because that will allow more of this awakening to occur. Meaning, because in some of this awakening that's going on, it's like the higher dimensions is what matters. Your physical reality is like, whatever, you guys did it all wrong or whatever. And it's not going to go away probably ever. It'll improve, yes. And the idea is to heal that, but feel like there's just a dark side within some that are awakened spiritually that have, within themselves, they're gonna have to just see it when the time is right. Some of them don't even know it's there. Yeah, like a racist thing against physical people. It's like that's not funny either, but it kind of is. It's a rough one. It's rough. It's a tough, especially if you're sensitive, intuitive, and you've been bullied by the physical people. Makes completely sense why you want nothing to do with it. It makes complete. It's yeah, it's same as any other type of bullying, But that the star seed, as it becomes more mainstream, it's going to have to address, the non-physical people and the physical people. So yeah, that's a tough. That's it's extremely sensitive subject though. But and understand it makes sense why a lot of starseed people, because maybe are lonely right now. They're not living the life they think they should be living. It's a complete, they can't, connect to anybody here physically for the most part. But if they went astrally, their life would be a lot better. And here they just get bullied. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense of the wounds here that will eventually be faced and healed in the future, or and now. But it takes time for to heal something like that. It just many feel like we're going to go in the higher dimensions and all this darkness is going to end. But what if the darkness doesn't end and the physical is still here? And you kind of have to make peace with that. The more you make peace with it, you can still evolve spiritually. No one's stopping you there. You can always go as far as you want to go. Ninth, tenth, the limited dimensions, wherever you want to go. But yeah, there is kind of like a hidden brewing war between physical people and non-physical people. The non-physical people is basically starseed people for the most part. You know, it's like, but that the energy of the starseed is definitely going to get stronger and stronger. It's not going to go away. It's going to get more complicated. It's going to test a lot of people in their belief systems. Like it's hard to understand everybody's belief system, when they go spiritual because it's just complicated. It's like it's worse than religion in a lot of ways. Because you connect to all these different alien beings, and not everybody's connected to the same alien beings that you're connected to, so it gets kind of complicated. So yeah, we're definitely the Earth is going to be, one day. I would say like one. I know it sounds a little strange saying this, but I know it's like very physical, third dimensional to say, but it's kind of like one of the capitals of the universe. Like you have a state capital, like we have, or in Europe we have Parliament. The Earth is like a Parliament planet. It's just diverse and it's just a kind of a war zone, obviously. Um, yeah, it still plays an important key to everything. So we're here to not have to go through our lessons anymore. So like, okay, we achieved it. And that's what the star seed's here to do also is to, we don't have to go through these problems anymore. A lot of people are going into the same problem over and over again. And we're moving away from that slowly. Of course, then you have galactic problems. Like aliens coming here and which would be great just to have that connection when they just start showing up here somehow. It's like, okay, it happened, and then we have to figure that out. So it's definitely it's still a possible timeline. It can happen at any time. Yeah, there's nothing really stopping it. I mean, obviously human development and where humans are, but you never know. You never know. Anything is possible. I'll go into that in a second. The Archon grid, how that gets programmed. I feel a lot of, like our reality, our matrix grid, you can say, there's a lot of Venus energy in that, which I wouldn't think there would be that. I feel like it's more Martian. I feel like Venus. It's almost like it's protecting us from ourselves, meaning that because we can't see the beings here, they're kind of doing us a favor. you know, I know that's a little bit complicated, but we kind of decide we the Earth agreed on, the human populations. Somebody agreed upon it um, for us to forget. And Venus, you could say, is making sure that we stay safe with that decision. Obviously, as was still a war zone, but that at least yeah, it just feels like so we don't have any unnecessary surprises, such as the alien invasion and all that, because those timelines do exist. So Venus is playing a big role in keeping us from advancing before we're ready, like an alien invasion, and then we just go, bad shit. you know, it's gradually coming in, but at least Venus is one of the planets that's doing this. I think it was it Val Thor? I went to Congress and all that, which I believe I do feel that energy of that. So yeah, something to do with it. Venus is just keeping us from destroying ourselves. Let's put it that way. Of course, you have Pleiades doing the same thing and Sirian, but Venus is very hidden. It's keeping us from. I mean, obviously they can flip a switch and you can see aliens everywhere, but because most of the population isn't aware, it's complicated. Um, so the Archon, our matrix grid, how it's programmed. I also feel some energy from Uranus too. Like Uranus pulls in lessons from the universe that have to be learned here. Like here's your lesson plan. If you want to improve a lot of these souls in the universe, they can be. Yeah, jeez. It's like we come here to learn our lessons, and you can't leave until you've figured it out. So you incarnate over and over again. So Uranus is part of the reincarnation process, but it's also bringing in our universal lesson plan. Of course, Uranus is part of it. There's probably other beings involved, but our lesson plan of what we're here to figure out. I mean, a lot of souls got sent here. It's like, they agreed upon it. You can say, obviously, not everybody agrees upon it, but the ones that do agree upon it's like, yeah, I have to get my act together. Go to Earth and stay there for another 5,000 years. Yeah, because this obviously they send a lot of their troublemakers here. It tells you how messed up the universe is. They really do. They really do send their problem child children here. It's not all of that. It's not that this world attracts it. I mean, that's part of it, but it's also its rehabilitation plan. It has more energies there. I talked about this in the past about being a real bit rehab planet. I mean, look at it. I mean, if you're a criminal, you go into jail and they just treat people like just like garbage. It's like if that doesn't rehabilitate you in some way, of course, some enjoy it. But it does like new offenders and all that really is a wake up call. And you can say that's why, and a lot of the jails are ran by Orion energies. Yeah, it's just. I mean, you can say Orion invented the prison. The constellation feels like they just for reasons. I mean, there are some reptilian worlds that are jail planet, prison planets. Of course, there are feline worlds that are prison planets. So I feel like they're a little bit more lenient, but there are some feline beings that are just psychotic. But those are fewer than the most of the population. Interesting. Well, it feels like it gets better and better. So Mars has always been a experimental planet. And Mars feels like it's a prison planet also, but they had more freedoms there, and they kind of took over the prisoners, kind of like Australia took over the planet and then ran into the ground. It has some similarities to us. Yes, Australia is known to be a prison at one time, and then they started taking over the government. From what it feels like, what happened to Australia, and then they lock everything down. I was like, wow, what a surprise there. So the inmates are running the asylum basically. Same thing with Mars. Yeah, it feels like Mars is a prison planet. It was, I mean, there was some good stuff there. It wasn't all just a nightmare planet. But then when you have your prisoners inventing cloning and all of that, and they have freedom to do so, doesn't mean they're. I mean, I think sometimes they're attacking the citizens and everything, but they're actually going after other planets. That was their main, always one of the agendas. Just why? Just because. There's many personal reasons for that. Oh, is it because they're conquerors? So I mean, yeah, like I know I talk about Mars like to death, but I mean, when you think about Mars and the toxic energy of Mars, and then you look at our planet's just like, hey, just we're just like a big sign as our planet. Hey, come over here and take us over. We're stupid over here, and that's exactly what happened. They just, you know, in the right opportunity, and I guess we needed it, so here we are. So, at least that's part of the downfall of the planet. That's not the main, but that's part of it. Um, let's see. So the Archon grid here, our reality is being controlled by other planets. I'll say like seven planets. I think I said something like that before. Seven planets. I don't know where they are. I mean, our reality, like our physical reality, our government, and all that's ran. At least it feels like seven. One's in Sirius, one's in Pleiades. The one in the Pleiades isn't that strong. One's definitely a Draco planet, that's for sure. That's an Orion. Jeez. I've said this before in the past. Like Palladian beings, like tall blonde Nordics, like they're here to help. I mean, obviously there's some that aren't here to help, but the ones that are here to help, they have like a projection room. Like they can project what's happening here on our world on their world and analyze us and try to figure us out so they can help us. Of course, sometimes you wonder how's that help working? It's like, well, that's where we're still working on improving that side. But they can do like holographic projections on their world, like in a room, so they can understand our mannerisms and understand why we do what we do. Obviously, not everybody's going to understand that, but they are trained to understand us to a certain extent. They might not agree with us. Who would? It's like, wow, they really backstab each other really fast, don't they? Oh, welcome to Earth. What is that thing called an attorney? Where does that come from? Oh, we're not going to go into that. So, it's funny. I feel like a lot of Palladians are attorneys in a good way. They're here to help, definitely. The Nordic beings that are here to help us, the Palladians, it's like their resources are not depleted, but they're being heavily tested here. Well, because there's beings that try to get the Palladians to fight among each other, to divide each other. It's like a constant ordeal. It doesn't happen, I mean, all the time, but it happens a lot. Especially when they're influencing us spiritually. Like if you want to help yourself, they can help you help yourself. That doesn't always happen because we have, timelines, contracts that we agree upon that we haven't fully healed yet. But they can see the aliens can normally see our contract pretty well. They kind of need to know that to know where they can help us and where they can't help us. Like, we get a flat tire. It's like, sorry, we have to step back on this one. We can't interfere. Well, we can, but we'll all die. It's not like that, but who knows? Yeah, just certain things they don't always have the answers of why. They know they can't do anything. I mean, they can easily fix this planet, of course, but is anybody going to learn it? Is humanity going to learn anything here? No. That's why everything takes so long. So that's what this I would call it starseed agenda. I don't want to call it that, but we're just learning how to yeah, as people already know this already, but we're learning how to be the leaders of the world on a spiritual level. Obviously, it might not be the fantasy reality that you're seeing. It'll be gradually, very slowly. Well, first off, you're one day, you know, I know we're always getting labeled, but you can say that, like some people say, like they're a politician, like a libertarian. One day, but will say, yeah, I believe in aliens, I believe in extraterrestrials, and that will be known society wise. Obviously, at first, they're going to have trouble with that because, welcome to Earth. But over time, that'll be more recognized and not so looked down upon. That's going to take a while, of course. Of course, we're not at the level where we can even talk about it publicly because we're so advanced here, right? Society is still, well, I believe it's like you wonder why you're here. You're here to bring this movement. You can call it a movement, call it whatever you want, but it's here to bring this alien, your identity, into the public persona where, we have conferences at hotels, which is fine, or anywhere, and people are, oh, that's cool, but still kind of quiet. It's not mainstream. It's sort of mainstream, but not mainstream, mainstream. Like they're not talking about in the evening news. I mean, they might, but then they're like talking down to it. But it's like this is another society of people that aren't recognized. And that's why many people are here to be recognized. And yeah, it's not going to be easy. Then again, it never is. But that, you wonder what your place is here. That's really what it comes down to it. It's like people wonder, it's like, what the hell am I doing here? What for? You're not seeing any progress. You're not seeing the aliens. You're not seeing anything really. You see Canada turning into the United States. So the United States have become like Canada, and Canada become like the United States. So we get free healthcare. That's a joke. We'd like to see that happen. But yeah, I would say it again. Yeah, it's like yeah, where you don't have to keep this stuff hidden anymore. Obviously, you have to keep it hidden now, but one day it'll become more public. How is unknown. It's going to be really rough in the beginning, of course. I mean, it's rough now, but it's going to get even rougher because it started to the spiritual community starts to squeak louder where society can't ignore it anymore. And yeah, you have these spiritual gurus that are cult leaders and all that, and you have millions of followers and whatever. Yeah, but that's small compared to those that are just awaking spiritually, organically, believe whatever you want to believe. That's more powerful than some cult leader telling you a bunch of nonsense every day, whatever. Just everything's going to get better and people are waking up and yada, 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 same old. A lot of that's going to get exposed eventually. We're still in the early stages of it, but some people just need it. But the individual starseed person be able to go to work and talk about it freely. Obviously, right now you get scrutinized and whatever, but that's going to be a rough patch, like I said in the beginning. But where your great great grandkids can talk about it publicly, and it's like nobody. Oh, really? Believe in whatever Zetas or Pleiadians? Like, wow, tell me more. Instead of this like screw you, or you're a bunch of crazy people, whatever. And so there's no real time. I mean, if time frame, but this is the time, definitely. Yeah, it's just. The engines are roaring. They just haven't been heard quite yet, but the momentum is there. I guess because there's just so many cult leaders in the spiritual movement, the big ones. I mean, it has a cultish energy, so it's understood why it's not taken seriously. Well, it has the air of it. It's pretty obvious. And more of the individual that's not part of a cult become more recognized, because the power of the individual is really what matters in the long run. Yeah, we'll see how that, well, who knows? But that's where we're heading into. Now would now this isn't clear, but how would the starseed movement become more accepted by society? It's all I know is it's happening now. Obviously, they're not. Yeah, it's like when I tap into, it's like it's blanked out. Now, other people might see versions of it. More power to you on that one, but I mean, you talk about an event. The event is where the star seed is taken more seriously. Um, you know, where like your kindergarten kid can say, "Hey, I believe in Zetas and all that. Not just a psychic kid. I also believe in aliens and all that." And you know, it's just taken more seriously. So the movement is here. Well, it's more than just a movement. It's what you are, whatever word you want to use for that. So yeah, just put that vibration out there. Um, I guess back to the reptilian queen a little bit. Let's see. Well, of course, what David Icke said about her drinking blood and all that. I know they didn't like that too much. Um, yeah, that doesn't help the spiritual group really. I mean, yes and no, but it's more laughed at than taken seriously. Like, was it Adele? It's such a complicated, the singer. It gets so complicated going into that, but I mean, people have seen her turn to a reptilian, which I can definitely see. It's like she doesn't know what she's doing. I mean, she has this voice that's very powerful, but the rest of it's like she has no idea. It's like, oh, yeah, that's a bizarre one. Um, yeah, we're just in this age of awakening for sure. I mean, the age and awakening where the time is here for it to become more known. Maybe this year. It's not clear. This year, 5 years, probably this year. Somehow this will hit the mainstream where, I mean, spirituality has hit the mainstream on talk shows and stuff like that, mainstream talk shows. But then it's kind of like, it's out there, but then it kind of goes back into its shadow. So there'll be a time, where it's more accepted. The alien parade and stuff like that. Maybe get your own alien holiday. Maybe they'll replace Valentine's Day with an alien love. Talk to aliens or something day. You never know. I'm being serious. Well, maybe the Valentine's Day is probably not going to happen, but that, yeah, that would be very. Well, like the Roswell thing is kind of a holiday. That can be made into a holiday when that happened. Of course, that happened. You had a couple of situations there. Yeah, so that's pretty powerful when you think about it. That's good. But how society is being programmed. So yeah, that whole thing about how humans are being programmed to become more clear eventually. Or I mean, obviously, wording it that way might not get you the best, attention, but it is a program in the long run. Um, I mean, everything's. I mean, just because we're in the physical, everything comes from an idea. So You can say the gods had an idea, and here we are. So we're connecting more back to we're clearing out our amnesia, and yeah, eventually we won't need a queen anymore. Well, because those rules won't work anymore. Um, it doesn't mean you're gonna have like parking for spaceships. Of course, you guys should never know. Well, you never know. I guess you can always manifest that one day. In the future, there probably will be spacecraft landing places, definitely. When we're not there yet, obviously. So when the star seed becomes more known in the mainstream, yeah, I said already, it's going to be rough. Yeah, it's gonna definitely gonna hit the headlines, probably obviously in a skeptical way, but also, yeah, it's gonna have a rough maturity, because some star seeds aren't that mature either. Some can be quite violent, actually. It depends on the star seed. Well, it depends on what they've been through, especially if they've been bullied. And then they want to talk about this stuff publicly and they get bullied again and they can get triggered really easily. So it's just something that has to, yeah, it's brewing to be awakened. It doesn't mean it has to be violent or negative, no. But it's going to, it's just either way, we're on our way. Yeah, it's inevitable in this lifetime before everybody dies. Yep. Yeah, so I guess we'll see on that one. Yeah, just I'm putting the vibe out there for that to be tapped into. Let's put it that way. Like I said, back to the reptilian queen energy. I'm not seeing much energy on that anymore. I mean, people are going to see that as irrelevant. That would be paradise here. Well, you don't need a queen here, or that just mind control. I mean, people say they're not going to come back here anymore, but you might come back for that to put an end to it. So that's going to be obviously in the future sometime when you don't need the royal family anymore. Um, that shows. So that kind of gives you an idea. We still have a lot to do here. Just remove all these systems, all these programs, and see the inner workings of it. Like the crown, seeing like there's reptilian beings running it. Not that's all that's running it, but there's obviously that's there to some degree. Not to say they're the bad guy, but they do have a presence there. A lot of them are very good. It just they have such a bad rap here. Not going into details on that one. Let's see. I mean, cloning technology, that's obviously another sensitive one. That's a rough one to come into public too. I mean, yeah, you might tell people you're a star seed and not be more accepted by society. But that cloning subject is still a tough one. Yeah. It's deep. Yeah, it just is. It's like you might be able to, whenever that day comes, we can talk about being a star seed in front of people, but the cloning subject matter seems to be still a difficult one for people to grasp. And you can still believe it, of course, but to prove it and all of that is like as mysterious as CERN in Switzerland. It's just as messed up as that. Abusing technology. Yeah, cloning. Yeah, eventually. So, I mean, eventually clones won't work here anymore because you'll be able to see it. Now, think about that in society. Now, who knows when that's going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. It might, but when you can identify a clone, but also see the inner workings of it more clearly. where it can't hide anymore. And you might be able to tap into it now, but to actually see it being developed and all that, or just that the clones just become more obvious and the aliens become more obvious that are controlling it, where the aliens and the clones can't hide here anymore, and that's a big deal. When it all starts to break down, I don't know what's going to happen in our lifetime though. Guess you never know. Yeah, where Mark Zuckerberg starts falling apart, deactivates. It's like, yeah, he's a robot after all. Yeah, we're definitely not there yet, but that's what we're heading into. Yeah, so to repeat this, at least the vibe I'm getting, this is the year. Of course, it's hard to. I mean, we're into the phase of the star seed coming out eventually. Yeah, I'm not sure it's gonna happen this year. I feel like it will, but we'll see what happens on that. Yeah, it's just more of it. It hits into the mainstream real, media, pop culture. It comes into it, and you can't get rid of it. Instead of just being, something on the side, and most people don't care. Yeah, it feels like. I mean, part of the vocabulary, the mainstream vocabulary. You know, like people know religions and know Mormons. And so now they're going to start knowing about star seeds and all these different star seeds. And it's like, wow, this is really complicated. It's all these different alien beings, and it goes on and on and on. But yeah, it's definitely on its way. Okay, all right, we'll just leave it at that. All right, hopefully this is somewhat helpful. So, all right, blessings, everyone, and I'll be back all right, tomorrow. Blessings. Yeah, we don't have to do that outro. Just close it out. All right, blessings.